Jean Valjean, a repentant convict, finds redemption and mercy, but is relentlessly pursued by a man hell-bent on his definition of justice in Javert. In 2012's adaptation of the classic Broadway musical, which it in itself is an adaptation of the literary classic from Victor Hugo, Les Miserables. You know I love this fucking thing.
Yep.
I've said it many a time.
Sucking off to it every night. That's right, sucking off to it.
Now, admittedly, I saw the musical before I read the book, and that spurred me to read the book. And it remains one of yes, that's right, in my 30 plus years of life, one of the defining moments of ever in terms of my personal culture. I love Les Miserables, the musical, so I was very, very anxious to see the movie. I was afraid. But I gotta say that fears were assuaged immediately. I told you this. I admitted it up front. We made a video about it. It brought tears to my eyes. But let's talk about this film. I exposed you to it recently, and by that, I mean penis.
Yeah,
I flashed you. It was not good.
It was bad.
It brought tears to your eyes.
Yes.
But, yeah, man, Les Miserables is the adaptation of that particular play. Pretty much you get the entire play. If you've seen the Broadway musical, you get the entire musical with the exception of a number or two. A couple characters are pared down a little bit, but they're not completely excised. It's pretty much all there. There's not a lot to disappoint. And honestly, those tiny excisions were necessary to keep this flow going because the core of the story is between these two main characters played by Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe, respectively, when we speak of Jean Valjean and Inspector Javert. These two guys are some of the best characters, in my opinion, ever committed to literature. And now, I gotta say, ever committed to both the stage and screen. I mean, the themes that they carry along with them are my first fucking pro with this movie. Such a strong thematic push for the power of mercy. And they reflect that not only between Javert and Jean Valjean, but they show how that clash of ideas is reflective in society when it comes to the rich and the poor, you know, and they ultimately show that in this big conclusion when the beginnings of the French Revolution. It really reflects that initial tension between Javert and Jean Valjean. It's all reflected, amplified in what's going on around them, and that's what binds this story so well together. It's literally you following this man through different stages in his life. It covers a lot of ground and a lot of time, but that is never lost. So that's a big plus for me, man, that the themes are so stark and clear and very, very anchored in the enjoyment of this film. What's a pro for you?
Hugh Jackman can really pick up a pole. Well, he makes John Matrix look like shit.
He is Wolverine, after all.
That's actually my pro. I'm not gonna lie. Another pro. I like. I'm a kind of a fool for neat transitions. This has them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when we were watching it, and there's that beginning transition, and literally in the beginning, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna like this movie."
Yeah.
I don't know why, but there you go.
I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with this other pro. Visually, it is a stunning film. It's beautiful, man, to look at. You know, the stage production is very lavish, very intricate. Intricate. This did what the stage version does for stage, only for film. It had to amp it up for a visual medium of this size, and it did it. It really brought it, and it didn't just throw big things at you. It did it in a way that was very, very natural, very, very, very natural to the film. But it's beautiful, and yes, the transitions from scene to scene feel organic and yet artistic at the same time. And it's hard to do scenes in musicals where people are singing the same song, as it were, but they're in different locations and make it feel like it's in other places, but at the same time, the same things are being said. And this does that exceptionally well. Another pro for me is these are some of the most timeless and well-regarded songs in the musical. You know, for fans of that stuff, these songs, I mean, they get released time and time again on CD. They do concerts just for the songs. Unfortunately, fucking Pompidou's in one of those.
Shit.
But yeah, the translation of that stage style of singing, you know, that very, very musical style singing to this was astonishing, man. I would even dare say an improvement because there's an emotive quality to the songs now. On stage, you have to hear them project these things, so they come off more like songs. This, you feel the characters, and you see them feel, and you know, like I Dreamed a Dream with Anne Hathaway's character Fontaine. I mean, you feel the agony of this woman losing everything.
It gives it brings the ability to have more quiet moments in songs instead of just having a dude yell basically the whole time.
Yes.
Just sing yell the whole time.
Yes. And that was a great choice. You know, they could have just gone that traditional musical route, but they didn't. They're heavy not only in emotion but in the way they're portrayed and acted. You know, you really feel what's going on. They are not delivered in that traditional style. You know, when somebody cries, it's integrated into the fabric of the song. When somebody's emotional, especially Jean Valjean does it quite a number of times, it's integrated into the way they deliver the music. And that was such a fantastic choice because it gave the movie much more credibility than it's just a musical.
Yeah.
You know, it gave it the serious tone that it needed.
It's what Clint Eastwood tried to do with Jersey Boys and failed.
Yeah. Or Paint Your Wagon. Woo! Let's forget about that one. Woo, Paint Your Wagon. Anyway,
Paint Your Wagon.
Paint Your Wagon. This is not another big pro for me. You already know I was gonna say this.
Damn it!
My boy Crow. Look,
you know what? I'm gonna give a negative. The Russell Crowe because you have been nonstop speaking about him since this movie.
Look, man. Well, really, since Noah, really.
Yeah, but this just kind of like
amped it up even more.
Cemented him as a god.
Yeah.
Men.
I mean, I didn't used to be big on Crow, but as of late, I've been on the Crow kick, as I call it. The Crow is a K, so it's like Crow kick.
Both of them are K's.
Yeah, man. I really, 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 really loved his portrayal of Javert. But that's not to say that I didn't love everybody else. I'm just saying that because I'm apparently sucking off Crow.
Yeah.
So really the pro is the casting in this is top fucking notch, man. Really top notch. And especially impressive considering that these people aren't professional singers. You know what I'm saying? That was a complaint that people that saw the stage play had because the songs are delivered differently. They sound very different to the stage play versions sometimes, and sometimes they don't. So it's something to get used to. For me, it was something to get used to the first time I saw it. I was like, whoa, these sound different a little. And they're being presented in a different fashion. But upon the second viewing, and that wasn't a problem. It was just something to get used to. Upon the second viewing, I was already like, this is the way it's going to be. And it just made it all the fucking better. Now, some people did complain about Crow. When he goes from just acting to singing, there's like a disparity in his voice. Like he sounds different when he sings than when he acts. That is kind of jarring. I don't know if it was to you.
No.
It is a little jarring, maybe to somebody. To me, it was.
You know why it wasn't jarring? Because we had that guy looks like a lizard, and his voice is like normal. And then when he goes,
Kermit the Frog.
when he goes into a song, he's like, "Hear me, man." So you know he doesn't sing that song.
You're of course talking about that guy whose name I was forgetting, Eddie Redmayne.
There you go.
Yeah, he does have a Kermit voice, but it's a really good voice.
It's
just Kermit.
It's just he goes from like Englishman to freaking straight up Kermit, going like, "Hey, Miss Piggy."
So yeah, that was a complaint to some people, but it certainly wasn't for me. You know, it was jarring. Like, what the fuck? His singing was completely different.
Why is Kermit there?
But it was great. Kermit, of course, was a thing. So that was a big pro for me, man. Give me another pro.
Pro is that now I want to see a Muppets version of this because of another pro. It almost made me cry. And that's kind of a big one for me. It almost made it didn't make me cry, but it almost made me cry. Guess what scene?
Oh man, I don't know. There's so many that could possibly do it. Jean Valjean's death. Spoiler alert.
It's specifically the end when he goes out and everybody's freaking there and shit.
Yeah, when he goes into heaven. Yeah.
That was like kinda, it wasn't even necessarily a sad moment to kind of cry or almost cry. It was more like a perfect wrap up.
Yeah.
And thus you're kind of satisfied.
Dude, that's the perfect word. It is one of the most satisfying endings. It's the same way in the play. You know, in a lot of ways, Les Miserables was written by a very spiritual man. And those themes are heavy in the movie. You know, his redemption comes because of the mercy given to him by a priest. he as a result begins to do things as is seen at those times, especially to be morally right, and he becomes a good and proper man with his intentions and his heart in a good place. And he goes through a lot of fucking shit. And the crux of it all is that he confuses a guy that constantly pursues him, because Javert, who's always looking for him, always hounding him, thinks that he is right, that his form of justice, society's justice, is morally correct and upright. Javert's not really a bad guy. He just thinks he's right. And he's so confounded by the ways of Jean Valjean. And there's a piece of scripture that says that the ways of God are not like those of men. And Valjean was seeing things that way. So Javert is so confounded by his ways. So literally, Valjean is living this spiritual life, doing things morally upright. And by the end, yes, it's so satisfactory to see him get his just reward. You know, he is given... And it's such a moving scene, man. You know, I cried. I cried throughout the whole movie, basically. But that is just one of the most satisfying endings, to see a good man get a good reward. Even though his passing was tragic, the reward is there. He is with those he loves. He's with those that died just, morally upright people.
It was almost as good as the similar ending to Paddington. Almost as good.
Didn't reach that level of
almost
Oscar caliber.
As satisfying.
Hey, you know what? I saw recently
Paddington 2. Sorry, Paddington 2.
I recently saw Chris Stuckman top 10 movies of 2018. He put Paddington 2 in there. Chris Stuckman doing it right. Yeah, man. Great ending. I'm totally with you on that. The set design in this, the costume design in this, astonishing. You know, it won awards for it, and deservedly so. Beautiful, big pro. Can you think of a negative that you might, besides the Kermit the Frog voice guy?
No, that's a pro, dude.
That's a definite pro.
Yeah. Not really. They're more nitpicks. Very minor nitpick. Con, I guess, would be. I couldn't really tell how old Hugh Jackman was, and so when he died, I was kind of like, why'd he die? I was kind of assuming he got like some sort of acids from the sewer or something like that. Which I then asked you, like, why did he die exactly? Mind you, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter in the storyline. You're kind of like, okay, he's done his thing. He can die now. But it was kind of one of those things where it's kind of like I couldn't really tell how old he was supposed to be or anything like that.
Yeah, if you're looking for visual clues, the makeup is good. Don't get me wrong. He looks worn out.
Yeah, but they don't give you like a freaking like old man.
Yeah, he's definitely not Uncle Scrooge status old.
He's got like really gross eye bags. That's about it.
Yeah, if you're looking for visual cues to his age, you're not gonna get any. You get them more from the dialogue and what's presented on screen. Yeah. I mean, they do a lot of like 10 years later, X amount of years later.
Which kind of added to my confusion. I'm like, wait, he was in prison for 20 years. Then there's like at least like 20 something years past in the movie. How old is he? Like 80,000?
Yeah, man.
But he looks like freaking Hugh Jackman.
But as you say, that's a nitpick.
Yeah.
You might notice the time passage a little better upon second viewing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, it was just one of those where it's kind of like a little. It kind of led to me being like, so why did he die? But it ultimately didn't matter, and it wasn't something that was really a con. It was just kind of something I noticed.
I have one con. Well, let me say one con, and it's that Javert when he spoiler here, when he commits suicide, the sound that he makes when he hits they could have toned that sound a little bit down.
It was really loud
because it's super loud. But really, I have no cons for this movie, so I'm going to address some cons that people have pointed out. I kind of touched on them a little bit, like the transition from the stage sound to the more acted out music. Musical numbers. That's not a con for me, but if you're used to the play, it might be a con for you. I know some people were thrown off by Russell Crowe. I already addressed that. I love the man, so probably even if he would have sucked, I would have been like, hell yeah, he rocks, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, a con that some people, I read some reviews and some people were talking about was like, why do they all have English accents? First of all, when you do a stage play that's a period piece in that particular area of the world, most of the people have English accents. When I saw the stage play, the people had English accents. Second, do you really want a fucking movie with people with French accents?
Yeah. Oh,
no.
Who am I?
Yes, exactly. So,
Do you hear the Frenchman sing? Their armpits reflection.
yeah, man. The idea translates. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like when they do uh, period pieces in the Middle East. People tend to have an English accent.
Or why the hell does every single freaking like god in every movie ever have an English accent?
Yeah, and the idea is simple. You know, if somebody has like a Cockney accent, they're of a lower strata in society. So a character like Gavroche, the little kid, he's scrubbing at the bottom of society. Hence his affiliation with the revolution. Yeah, so he has a Cockney accent. The idea translates. Whereas your more bourgeois people like Jean Valjean have a more standard accent, etc. And so it goes up along the stratas of society, the steps up of society, the hierarchy, if you will.
This is gonna be taken as the worst of a goon takes accents.
Yeah,
I'll give you another one.
Bobby boy. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That was weird. I mean, as I heard quite a few people say that, but really, a musical with French accents would have been terrible.
Yes.
Just saying, no hate on the French, except I do. But this is set in France, so I mean, that's really all you have to know.
Oh, a big pro? It made me not hate French people for a while.
Yeah, there you go. See,
I was kind of like, yeah, dude, they might not stink.
Yeah. I mean, they do, like armpits, but yeah, man. Let's go back to the pros, because like I said, I can't think of a single con.
I want to give a pro. Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, and Helena Bonham Carter, too.
Yeah.
They were exceptional.
They're pretty great.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the casting in this was fantastic, man. I can't think of one bad casting choice. But yeah, they're like kind of the characters that even someone that doesn't enjoy stage musicals, if you took them to see the stage musical, they'd come out liking those characters.
Yeah, even though they're kind of despicable and horrible,
you know. So yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen and Helena Bonham Carter really brought theirness to those roles. They're very much them, but at the same time they still bring those that scummy likableness to the screen. And that's another big pro for me, that the movie captures all the facets of society that it chooses to represent in these characters, be it the tragic poverty of Eponine or yes, the scummy kind of like grifter scumminess of Sacha Baron Cohen and Helena Bonham Carter's characters, the upright morality of Valjean, etc., the innocence, impressionable innocence of his adoptive daughter, etc. You know, they're all brought so clearly to life. None of that was lost in translation. In fact, I dare say, because you can actually see the characters emote, it's amplified there. So yeah, big pro for that for me. Anyway, let's unless you got other pros or cons, let me know.
Not really.
Let's wrap this up with a final score and final thoughts. What are your final thoughts and score on this little bad boy?
Final thoughts. I didn't expect to. I was kind of thinking this was gonna be one that you like build up too much. I was gonna be like, that was the thing I saw. But no, like I said, almost instantly I was like, yeah, this is gonna be pretty rad. I want to throw this as a pro and a final thought. Despite it being really long, it feels really short. It goes by in a breeze. And it was pretty damn great. So I'm going to give it a solid... I had no cons. I got to give it a 10 because I didn't have any cons.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest con is Jean Valjean because he was a con. Oh!
And then he redeemed himself, so it comes out to a 10 either way.
Yep.
But yeah, man, this is by far... I mean, I loathe to say it because I love La La Land so much. But this is my favorite musical. I mean, it was on stage. It is now on screen. It is my favorite musical.
It's got Russell Crowe.
It's got fucking Russell Crowe, so even Emma Stone's feet can compete with that. Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Unapologetically love it. I give it a solid 11. I'm going to give it one of those rare 11s.
God.
It's a tearjerker, man. If you're a fucking emotional bastard like me, you'll be crying throughout this fucking thing.
If you almost cried during Paddington, you might almost cry during this too.
Paddington is in it, so that's a plus. Anyway, let us know what you think about this. If you haven't seen this, check that out. Even if you don't like musicals, this might be the one that might be the exception for you, because it's very worthy of it. And if the stage, the Broadway production comes by your town, shell out that money to see it. It's totally worth it. I know it was for me.
Episode brought to you by Les Mis, the traveling crew.
Getting diarrhea when they come to our hometown.
Yep.
Anyway, hit like, share, subscribe, those notification buttons because we're out.
Check out our main channel and our wrestling channel too.
Indeed.